Chapter 9. Motions that bring a question again before the assembly. See 625 and following for a list of these motions and a description of their characteristics as a group. 34. Take from the table. The object of the motion to take from the table is to make pending again before the assembly a motion or a series of adhering motions that previously has been laid on the table. See Chapter 17. Standard descriptive characteristics. The motion to take from the table, 1. Takes precedence over no pending motion and therefore cannot be moved while any other question is pending, but, subject to the conditions indicated in the next sentence, it takes precedence over a main motion that has been made but has not yet been stated by the chair. Unless it is moved under a suspension of the rules, Chapter 25, it must be moved at a time when no program or rule interferes, and while business of the class to which the subject question belongs, or unfinished business, general orders, or new business is in order, and it cannot interrupt a series of motions connected with taking up a single item of business. See below. It yields to privileged and incidental motions, but not to subsidiary ones. 2. Can be applied to any question or series of adhering motions that lies on the table as explained in the first paragraph under further rules and explanations below. This motion is not in order, however, until some business or interrupting matter has been transacted or dealt with since the question was laid on the table, and if it is moved and voted down, the motion to take from the table cannot be renewed until some further business has been transacted. No subsidiary motion can be applied to the motion to take from the table. 3. Is out of order when another has the floor, but a member can claim preference in being recognized for the purpose of making this motion ahead of a new made motion, or he can claim the floor for such a purpose after a new made motion has been made, but before the new motion has been said by the chair. See below. 4 must be seconded, 5 is not debatable, at C4 31 through 32 regarding allowable explanation of an undebatable motion, 6 is unamendable, 7 requires a majority vote, and 8 cannot be reconsidered. If the motion to take from the table is adopted, the question can be laid on the table again should any legitimate need arise to do so, according to the rules stated in 1711. If the motion to take from the table is rejected, it can be renewed each time that any business has been transacted. See 38.7.2. Further rules and explanation. The time limits on taking a question from the table. A question that has been laid on the table remains there and can be taken from the table during the same session, Chapter 8, or if the next regular business session will be held before a quarterly time interval has elapsed, see 9.7, also until the end of the next regular session. Note: if the term of all or a specified portion of the Assembly's membership will expire before the start of the next regular session, as may happen in a board or an elected legislative assembly, the rule is the same as though more than a quarterly time interval will have elapsed. That is, a question can be taken from the table only until the end of the same session at which it was laid on the table. Back to reading. If not taken from the table within these time limits, the question dies, although it can be reintroduced later as a new question. As long as the question remains on the table, any member can move to take it from the table at a regular meeting, including a meeting that is an adjournment, Chapter 9, of a regular meeting. At a special meeting, however, a question can be taken from the table only if A, it has been laid on the table earlier at the same session, or B, the call of the special meeting specifies either the particular question that lies on the table or its subject matter. Right of way in preference to a new main motion. In ordinary assemblies, a question is supposed to be laid on the table only temporarily, with the expectation that its consideration will be resumed after disposal of the interrupting matter at a more convenient time. Consequently, as soon as the business or interrupting matter has been disposed of, any member can seek recognition for the purpose of moving to take the question from the table, or, so long as it remains on the table, he can do so at any time under the class of business listed in standard characteristic 1 above, except while another motion is pending, or while a series of motions connected with one question is being introduced, as explained in the next paragraph. If the chair recognizes someone else as having risen and addressed the chair first, a member who rose at about the same time to move to take the question from the table should remain standing and say that he rises for this purpose, and the chair then assigns him the floor. Or, even after a new motion has been made, but before it has been said by the chair, a member who quickly rises and says that he does so to move to take the question from the table is entitled to be assigned the floor. The principle is that, if the assembly so desires, a motion already within its control by being only temporarily disposed of, see 9.7 through 11 and 38.8, has the right of way over a new main motion. Even if no question is pending, a motion to take from the table cannot interrupt a series of motions connected with bringing up a single item of business, but must wait until the complete series is disposed of. For example, such a series of motions is in process of being dealt with. When the assembly has just voted to suspend the rules and permit a certain motion to be introduced, when a question has just been laid on the table for the announced purpose of admitting another motion, when a previous action has just been rescinded, Chapter 35, to enable a conflicting main motion to be made, or when a main motion has just been voted down after a member stated in debate that in that event he would offer a different motion covering the case. In each of the above instances, until the main motion that was specified has been made and disposed of, it is not in order to move to take still another question from the table. Status of a question taken from the table. When a question is taken from the table, it is before the assembly, with everything adhering to it so far as possible, and with the exceptions noted below, exactly as it was when laid on the table. Note: however, if an amendable motion is taken from the table at a later session, motions to amend it may be made without regard to whether or not the same or similar motions to amend if it were either adopted or rejected during any previous session. Back to reading. For example, if amendments and a motion to commit were pending when a resolution was laid on the table, then when it is taken from the table, the question is first on the motion to commit. The same would be true if a motion to postpone to a certain time were adhering to a resolution. That is, the motion to postpone would become immediately pending, except that if the resolution is not taken from the table until after the time of proposed postponement, the motion to postpone is ignored. If the question is taken up on the same day that it was laid on the table, members who had exhausted their right to debate cannot speak on the question again. But if on another day all members have the right to debate and renewed with reference to each question being debated under the regular limitations, see 43:12-13. In order for the previous question or a limitation or extension of debate is not exhausted, however, if the question to which such an order was applied is taken from the table at the same session, even on another day, as in a convention. At the next session, any such order is exhausted, and the regular rules of debate prevail. For the rules relating to the exhaustion of an order prescribing the method of voting on a question, see 37. Note that is Chapter 30, Paragraph 7. Form an example. The form used in making this motion is, for example, I move to take from the table the resolution relating to and its amendment. If member A, who has risen to seek the floor for the purpose of making this motion, observes that the chair has recognized another member who rose at about the same time and who apparently intends to make a new main motion, the procedure would be as follows. Member A remaining standing and interrupting. Mr. President, I rise for the purpose of moving to take a question from the table. Upon recognition, member A then would move to take from the table the motion relating to. If member A did not rise to claim the floor before the chair recognized another member who has already made a new motion, then before this question has been said by the chair, member A can quickly rise and address the chair thus. Member A, Madam President. Chair, for what purpose does the member rise? Member A, I rise for the purpose of moving, and so on, as in the case above.